Right then, welcome back. Today we're going to talk about setups again because I've mentioned it in about 5 or 6 videos that they've changed the physics model or done something to the physics model, and it's changed the way that I go about setting the bike up. So the first setup video I did, thank you very much everyone who's give that a watch. It is by far and away my most popular video. I get loads of nice comments about how it's helped and what it does and this, that and the other, and that was a very tentative foot in the water for me. So your kind words and positive feedback have definitely left an impression, and I am determined to share as much knowledge and insight as I can. If I feel something's changed, I'll tell you about it, and if I can, I'll show you, which leads us conveniently onto this. So in the first one, we were at UMC on the 2019 Fireblade, and we ended up at what was it, a 142.947. So I had to go back and watch the video because I don't keep the videos, I don't have enough storage space, so I had to go back and watch it, work out what the time was, get the original setup. Now that, right there on the screen right now, that is the setup, exactly the same setup as the final setup in that first video. So the first thing we're going to do is we're going to go out and we're going to set a lap time, and we're going to see whether we can get close to that 142.947, and then I'm going to explain to you the changes. So one lap to try and get close to that time. Let's go. And we've ended up with a 142.677. So we're actually 0.3 of a second faster with the same setup, same bike, nothing's changed. It's literally the bike that I used. I've just put the wing mirrors and the number plate back on it, which made no difference to the performance index or whatever they're calling it. So we've gone about 0.3 quicker, and just about, give or take a couple of hundredths of a second. So we're a little bit quicker with the same bike on the same track, the same setup, the same time, the same everything. So what's changed? Well, it's all to do with the front and rear shock absorbers. So I basically said, set it to whatever feels right for you, and it seems that Milestone have been mucking about with it. So I'm going to adjust the setup on the blade to take into account the fact that it was cooking the tyres, and I'm going to drop to a medium tyre. I'm just going to muck about with it basically and see what we get. And the big thing here is the front and rear shock absorber settings. So now the best thing to do is match them to the front and rear spring rate. So front spring rate is at 8? There's no scale, but we'll say 8. So the front shock absorber settings are at 8, both for rebound and compression. Rear shock, again, match it. So rear shock's on 3. Sorry, rear spring's on 3, so rear shock goes on 3. Now I always go one up on the compression because I feel it helps the bike to not wheelie just with the way that I ride the bike. You might feel differently. If the wheelies aren't an issue, then leave it on 3 and 3. And then what we do is we go out and we go for another lap, and we end up with so we end up with a 1:42.237. So we've gone what, 4.5 tenths, so almost half a second, just with a few clicks and drop into a medium tyre. Now the tyre is not having a very good time, the front tyre at all. It's going towards orange, which is not a good place because it doesn't leave you any margin for error. So we went again, we bumped the front suspension up, we move the rebound and compression settings with it, and the rear tyre is cooking a bit as well, so we'll move the rear settings up by 1 click. We're still on the medium front with a soft rear, and we go again. And this time we end up with a 1:41.9. So we've gone from a 1:42.2 to a 1:41.9. So that's another 3 tenths of a second. So that's best part of 8 tenths of a second already over the last time. And I was going at it for about an hour on the last one. That I wasn't extracting any more pace out of that bike on the old setup. So straight away you can see there's a tangible increase in the performance of the bike with the changes they've made. And basically I ended up mucking about with it for over, well, it was 30 odd laps I think in the end. And well, I'll put the final lap up in its entirety, just so you can have a gander with the final setup as well, and yeah, you'll see. So when it's all done and all the dust has settled and everything else, we've ended up on a 1:41.5. So we've gone from a 1:42.9, yeah, 1:42.9 to, yeah, so 1:42.9 to a 1:41.5. We've ended up on a hard front, medium rear, the same, and really the only significant change we've made is to the rebound and compression settings. So we've gone a 1.5 seconds faster, just because that's the way they want you to set the bike up now. I mean, I get it, it makes it easy. Wherever your spring rates are, that's where you set your shock absorber settings. It makes life a lot easier. You might want to click more, you might want to click less. You just have to do some laps. I mean, I've done 36 laps there, just mucking about, making sure that I've got it in my head what I'm doing and setting a decent time. Yeah, the quickest lap came on lap 15, but I was still mucking about for, well, that's more than a 40-minute endurance race. Like, there was nearly 2 hours worth of graft to get it there. So, what about big bikes and little bikes? Well, therein lies the problem. But before we go there, leaderboard wise, I mean, the Blade's not the best bike in the world for its rating. I mean, the M1000RR seems to be the boy at the minute, and I'll take that. I'll take a 7th. I mean, what am I? 1.9 seconds on an M1000RR? Yeah, I might give it a go. I might not. I don't really care, to be honest. I'm more interested in the bike doing what I want and enjoying it and getting it done. But right, big bikes and little bikes. So, general rule of thumb for setting the bikes up is the heavier the bike, the harder suspension settings you're going to need. So, front suspension is going to be way to the right, back suspension, depends how long the wheelbase is. If she's a porker and she's got a little wheelbase, then you're going to be up there with both of them. I used a ZX14, a ZZR 1400 to non-American people, which has got a long old wheelbase, so I ended up on engine braking 3, and we were still not getting it stopped into the corners because she's a big old bus. But it seemed to work. Yeah, it's not the fastest thing in the world, but it cooked the tyres evenly. They were looking like fairly well done by the end of the lap. And it went sub 144, which for an absolute barge, even though it's a 1400, it doesn't have as much power as the Blade, so it went alright. It was quite good. The little bikes, and again, this is where things, you've just got to do it and see what happens. The difference in setup between the big bikes and the little bikes, the preload, I have it so the bike reacts how I want. The further to the left, the slower the bike will react, and the further over it will lean. The further it is to the right, the faster it will react, as in side to side, and the less lean angle you get. So if you're somewhere like Kanto, where there's loads of curbs and you don't want to go smashing over the curbs and turfing yourself off, increase your preload, you'll get less lean angle, the bike will react faster, and it'll probably help. If you're somewhere like UMC or a Sugo or even a Donington to a certain extent, you want more lean angle, because you want that lean angle to be able to play with the throttle through the corner, into the corner, out the corner, and get the bike doing what you want. So the tiddlers, the suspension settings, are more to the left. I've got no spring hardness on the rear tyre, and even at that level on the lap, the rear tyre was pretty much stone cold. The front tyre was perfect, absolutely mega, nice and green, and just grip, grip, grip. But the rear, it's not got enough power. No traction control on, no wheelie control. I think I was running engine braking 1, and well, yeah, it was alright. It wasn't the fastest thing in the world, it wasn't the slowest, but the settings work. So yeah, it is what it is. If it changes again, then I'll do another video and I'll let you all know what I think. You can tell me I'm talking shit. If you've got any questions, just fire them into the comments, and if you've got any questions on setups or whatever else, then again, just ask, and if I can help, I'll try and help. If I can't, then I'll say sorry, it's a bit beyond me. But so far, so good. But we're back to where we were. So thank you very much for watching. I really appreciate it. I really enjoy doing these setup videos, even though they take a long time to put together. They are really enjoyable. So yeah, fingers crossed you've enjoyed it. Fingers crossed you've got something out of it, and you go out and you improve your times. And if you do, let me know. That'll be awesome. So stay safe, and I'll see you next time. Peace.